أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Picking up with the legendary military ideology of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the era of Sayyidina, commander of the believers, the door of the city of knowledge, none other than Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. We have reached page number 521 on the publications that you're seeing there. We also have covered the legendary military career of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the city of knowledge himself, which is on the Muhammadu Gambia channel. I'm afraid it is not on the Abdul Fattah Muhammad, but Muhammadu Gambia channel, as well as his legacy, his legendary legacy with the era of Sayyidina Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu, going through the battles that took place subsequent to the demise of Rasoolu'Allahi as well, and moving from there, we have covered the military government as set up by Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu, and his era is covered there, and Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan's era is following such, with expanding that government, turning it into an empire, which again we have covered. Now we're actually on the ideology, and this is page number 521. We're referring to his justice radiallahu anhu. Very interesting. We're getting on to 3.2.4F, finding out about the thief, and we had covered circumstances where one's hand would not be cut off even if they had stolen. The hand of the thief is not to be cut off if he is caught before he takes the goods out of the place where they are stolen, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. It was narrated from Al-Harith that a man was brought to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu who had broken into a house, but he had been caught at that point, so his hand was not cut off. There's another version of this report which adds that he was flogged as a disciplinary punishment. Repeating of the theft: the first time a person steals, his right hand is to be chopped off, as long as it meets the requirements. No of the stipulations which do not allow the hand to be cut off should be taken place. If he steals again, his left hand is to be cut off. Then if he steals a third time or fourth time, he is to be given a disciplinary punishment, but his other hand and foot are not to be cut off, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. So we see difference there compared to in Africa. They beat you so much. So in certain cases, people have gotten who have been stealing, who have been caught stealing, I should say, because they did not complete the act. They were beaten all the way to death in the streets. Like the mob really did stone them. And luckily for them, if they are arrested under those circumstances, like the police station is not too far away, so they hear about a mob going on, beating up a thief, and or would be a thief, and they rescue that individual. They lock them up until they feel better, and then they prosecute them. In certain cases, they just let them go because they got beat up so bad. Okay, that's moving on from that page to the next page. It was narrated from Abdullah ibn Salama that a thief was brought to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, and he cut off his hand. Then he was brought to him again, and he cut off his foot. Then he was brought to him again, and he said, "Shall I cut off his hand? How will he wipe himself after relieving himself? And how will he eat?" Then he said, "Shall I cut off his foot? How will he walk? I feel shy before Allah Jalla Jalaluhu." Then he had him beaten and flogged and imprisoned. It was narrated that Al-Mughira and Ash-Sha'bi said, Ali used to say, if a thief steals several times, I will cut off his hand and foot. Then if he does it again, I will put him in prison. And it was narrated that Ash-Sha'bi said, so I will cut off his right hand, then his right foot. Ash-Sha'bi said, Ali only cut off one hand and one foot. If the thief stole again after that, he would have him in prison and subjected to corporal punishment. And Ali radiallahu anhu used to say, I feel shy before Allah Jalla Jalaluhu not to leave him a hand with which he would eat and clean himself after relieving himself. 3.2.4H, cutting off the hand and hanging it. It is recommended to cauterize the arm and to hang the severed hand from the neck of the person who had been punished. According to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, it was narrated from Hajiyah ibn Adi that Ali radiallahu anhu would cut off the hand, cauterize the arm, and detain the thief, whatever that cauterization means. When the thieves had recovered, he would send for them and bring them out. Then he would say, raise your hands to Allah, and they would raise them. Then he would say, who cut off your hands? They would say, Ali. He said, why? They said, because we stole. And he would say, oh Allah, bear witness. Oh Allah, bear witness. The arm was cauterized so as to stop bleeding and so that it would heal quickly, and for fear of infection that might affect the body and cause death. One of the aims of Islamic Sharia is to protect people's wealth, which is essential to their lives. Al-Islam forbids every means of taking people's wealth unlawfully. You do have no right. It forbids stealing and imposes the hadd punishment on anyone who is proven to have committed this crime. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu says, open quote, and as for the male thief and the female thief, cut off from them the wrist joint, their right hands, as a recompense for that which they committed, a punishment by way of example from Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. In the quotes, Surah number Quran, Surah number 5, Ayah number 38. The righteously guided Caliphs, may Allah Jalla Jalaluhu be pleased with them, carried out these rulings. So, if anyone says otherwise, just refer to the righteously guided Caliphs. 3.3, just retaliation and bodily harm. Islamic Sharia brought rulings on just retaliation in order to protect life and ward off evils that result from widespread muharramat, the forbidding, killing, and bloodshed. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu says, O you who believe, al-qisas, meaning the law of equality in punishment. O you who believe, it is prescribed for you in case of murder. Quran, Surah number 2, Ayah number 178. And there is a saving of life for you in al-qisas, in the qisas, the law of equality in punishment, O men of understanding. This is Quran, Surah number 2, Ayah number 179. Open quote, and whoever is killed wrongfully, mazluman, intentionally, with hostility and oppression, and not by mistake, we have given his heirs the authority to demand the qisas, law of equality in punishment, or to forgive, or to take diya, which is the blood money. But let him not exceed limits in the matter of taking life. He should not kill except the killer. Verily, he is helped by the law. of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, Quran, Surah number 13, Surah number 17, ayah number 33. The following are some issues having to do with the ruling on murder, retaliation, and bodily harms. 3.3.1 When a murder, or when a number of people take part in a murder. If a group of people take part in murdering a person, then they are all to be executed for it, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu, the commander of the believers, the door of the city of knowledge, that he executed 3 people who killed 1 man. 3.3.2 One who orders his slave to kill someone. If a master orders his slave to kill a man and the slave does so, then the master is to be executed and the slave is to be imprisoned, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. That was narrated by Ibn al-Mundir and others. It was narrated from Khalas that a man ordered his slave to kill a man, and Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, he, the slave, is like his whip or his sword. According to another report, if a man orders his slave to kill a man, he is like his sword or his whip. The master is to be executed and the slave is to be imprisoned. 3.3.3 One who was killed because of crowding. If a person is killed because of crowding and it is not known who killed him, his compensation is to be paid from the public treasury of the Muslimin, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib. So stampede, things of that nature. It was narrated from Yazid ibn Madhkur al-Hamdani that a man was killed in the mosque on Friday when it was crowded, and Ali radiallahu anhu paid his indemnity from the public treasury. 3.3 So it could just be crowded, ventilation purposes, or people not being able to breathe, but they die under those circumstances. Very interesting. It would be nice. 3.3.4 Damage caused by one who is driving, leading, or riding an animal. There are 2 reports from Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu with regard to this issue. The first report says that the one who is driving, leading, or riding an animal is liable if the animal steps on or kicks someone or something. He blamed the person for negligence, not being careful, or not paying attention. It was narrated from Khalas that Ali ibn Abi Talib held accountable the one who was leading, driving, or riding the animal. The evidence he gave is that the one who is riding is directly responsible for the damage because the animal is like a tool in his hand. As for the ones who were driving or leading an animal, they are the cause and are liable because they did not take care to avoid causing bodily harm when driving or leading. The second report says that they are not held accountable if it is proven that they were not negligent, as it was narrated that Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, if he shouted out to people to give way and made people hear him, then he is not liable. It was also narrated that he said, if the road was wide, then he is not liable. The evidence is that the road was wide and he shouted to alert bystanders. Then he was taking precautions and being careful. If the passerby people the pedestrians did not pay attention to that, then it is their fault. If they were harmed, then they brought it upon themselves. So there is no protection for them. There is no contradiction between the 2 reports, because the first report refers to a case in which it is proven that there was negligence, and the second report refers to the case where there was no negligence was there. The burden of proof of negligence is on the bystanders or pedestrians, whoever the crowd. 3.3.5 Whatever is established unlawfully and causes damage. If a person digs a well or lays something down or builds something in a place where he has no right to do that, and it causes damage to someone, such as if that person falls into a well or stumbles over what he lay down and dies, then he is liable, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, who said, if a person digs a well or lays down in a beam and someone gets hurt, then he is liable. 3.3.6 errors in testimony. If there is an error in testimony, then the witness is liable, according to Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu. He said that if a person mistakenly gives wrong testimony in a case involving a had punishment or retaliation and it leads to loss of life or limb, then he is liable and must pay compensation. It was narrated from Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu through a number of chains of narrations that two men testified that a man had stolen something. So Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu cut off his hand. The next day another man was brought and they said, we made a mistake with the first man. This is the one who really did it. He regarded their testimony against the second man as invalid, and he penalized them by making them pay the compensation for the first man. The reason for this is that they caused loss of limb, and the fact that they caused it dictated that they were liable, like one who digs a well in the road. According to another report, he said, if you had done that deliberately, I would have cut off your hands. Inshallah, we will end it here at page number 526. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسم ربك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.